Woke up this little moon and my diamonds came in from Elliot. Pearls on that fucking bitch's neck, she so elegant. Shop about the fucking mall, so much made me a resident. This Maybach got 4 windows, 10, it don't feel like the president. How I'm coming, I'm just standing there.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Crooked Hour. Today we're going to be breaking down the co-main event of Jingliang versus Tony Ferguson. Now this is an exciting matchup. Let's see if Tony Ferguson can get back on track. I see a lot of people thinking Tony Ferguson might just get chinned here, and I see it. Li Jingliang packs some power in those hands, but let's not forget, Ferguson dropped Michael Chandler the last time he fought. Everybody's just forgetting that. He dropped Michael Chandler in the last fight. And I think Michael Chandler would beat Li Jingliang. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But I feel like this is a closer fight than people are saying it is. I still feel like Li Jingliang's going to KO him. Most likely situation. But I feel like this is a closer fight than people are making it out to be. I don't know how I'd hedge it. But it would be pretty close. So as always, we're going to go over the tail of the tape and work our way up from there. Li Jingliang 19-7, Tony Ferguson 26-7. A lot more experience for Tony Ferguson, as we all know. Average fight time 10 minutes and 20 seconds for Li Jingliang and 11 minutes for Ferguson. Li Jingliang is going to be the taller fighter by 1 inch. Tony Ferguson will have a 5-inch reach advantage here, which if you watch the fight against Chandler, landing a straight right like he did against Chandler might hurt Li Jingliang. And I feel like, Michael Chandler has the wrestling. He has the wrestling to deal with that. When he gets hurt, he can turn to his wrestling. Li Jingliang isn't the best off his back. I mean, we saw it against Chimaev and we've seen it in other fights. He's just not the best on the ground. But when it comes to the feet, he's a problem. I could see Ferguson dropping him with a shot like that and then going him to the floor and submitting him. I could see it just straight up. I could see it. But will it happen? Probably not. They're both orthodox fighters. Li Jingliang's the younger fighter by 4 years. Strikes landed per minute for Li Jingliang, 4.39. Tony Ferguson is a bit busier at 5.12. Tony Ferguson is also a little bit more accurate by 3. 42 for Li Jingliang and 45 for Tony Ferguson. Strikes absorbed per minute, 3.66 for Li Jingliang, 3.81 for Tony Ferguson. So he is absorbing a slightly more amount of strikes, and defense is the exact same at 58. Now, Li Jingliang is shooting for takedowns, it says, but I've never actually seen this. Maybe I just haven't been watching the right fights. Takedown average for Li Jingliang, 1.27 and 0.41 for Tony Ferguson. 40% takedown accuracy for Li Jingliang, 42% accuracy for Tony Ferguson. Takedown defense, 60% for Li Jingliang and 66% for Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson has a submission average of 1.1, while Li Jingliang has 0.0. Now, how do I see this fight playing out? I see on the feet Li Jingliang definitely having the more power, but I feel like Tony Ferguson will be the slightly more diverse striker. I feel like he will be probably outpointing Li Jingliang, but when Li Jingliang will land, Tony Ferguson will know about it. That's all I'm saying. When Li Jingliang lands, Tony Ferguson will know about it. I honestly think it's a smart idea for Tony to go to the ground in this fight. I do. I feel like if Tony can get it to the ground and try and chase a submission or do those or land some elbows, bloody him up, I feel like this fight becomes awfully more close, especially if he does it in the first round. I could see this fight coming a lot more close, but he's going to have to be careful of the power of Li Jingliang. So how to bet on Tony Ferguson in this fight, in my opinion, he's a big underdog, paying out at 3.18. I'd just take his money line. He could get the submission, he could get the TKO, or he could easily win this by a decision if he just watches out for that power. Maybe has some moments on the ground and some moments on the feet. But more than likely, I think he's more likely to get a finish here than by decision. I feel like Li Jingliang's power, I feel like he might drop Ferguson in certain moments of this fight, and that will just sway the judges that Li Jingliang is doing the more damage compared to what Tony Ferguson is landing. But in saying that, if Tony Ferguson has some moments on top, he might win this by a decision. But I feel like the safer bet, especially the amount he's paying at 3.18, a moneyline bet isn't a bad idea here for Tony Ferguson. It isn't a bad idea at all. Now, you might be saying, why the hell are you picking Ferguson by sub? What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? But I feel like it'll be paying a high amount. Like, I feel like it'll be paying at 9.00. Tony Ferguson, 8 wins by submission. His last one was back in 2017 against Kevin Li. But, you know, Li Jingliang does have 2 losses by submission. He can be submitted. He got submitted against Hamzat Shemaev. He also got submitted by Kita Nakamura. I can't pronounce names, but he got submitted twice in his career. Ferguson, I think he's live for a submission here, especially if it hits the ground. I feel like he was working on his wrestling in the last fight. He was going back to his roots. He was learning on his wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised if he really leans on his wrestling here just to try and make this fight easier for him. Taking it to the ground, using his elbows and looking for a submission. I feel like that would be a smart game plan from Ferguson here. Using those sweeps, getting him to the ground and chasing that submission. I could see it happening. And when I think the line is going to be at about 9.00 or maybe even higher, you know, it could be even higher. It could be at 11.00. I feel like it's not a bad bet. Tony Ferguson by sub is not a terrible bet. Just to sprinkle a little bit on, you know, you wouldn't want to go crazy with it. Maybe 0.2 units or something very small, but, you know, it's live. It's live to happen. I feel like this could happen in this fight. Very possible, very possible. So if you're betting on Tony Ferguson, go the money line to be safe. That's my most likely bet. Just if you want to bet on Tony Ferguson, just go his money line. But if you're with me and you think, you know, he might hit a sub here, you know, there's a good chance for him to hit a sub here and you like the line at 9.00, which I think it might be at, take it. You know, it might happen. Now, if you're betting on the side of Li Jingliang, it's obvious. This man's a TKO KO machine. 10 of his 19 wins are by knockout. 4 of his last 5 wins are by knockout. This man is knocking people out. In his last fight against Muslim Salikov, he knocked him out in the second round. I feel like he could easily knock out Tony Ferguson here. He lost to knockout in his last fight. You know, it was a dangerous kick, of course, that I don't think anybody could survive. But Ferguson got knocked out. You know, there's not that whole thing anymore of you can't knock Tony Ferguson out. And I think if anybody's going to knock him out soon, it's going to be Li Jingliang with those power shots. So if you're betting on Li Jingliang, he's a pretty big favourite. So I would just be paying his TKO KO line. I feel like if he's going to win this, that's how he's going to win this. And I think that'll be sitting at around 2.00 on the lines. And if you want to get a little bit more risky, you know, you feel like Li Jingliang's going to get it by knockout, but you want to get some more bang for your buck. If your book has Li Jingliang by TKO KO in rounds 1 or 2, I would take it if you want to. You know, I could definitely see him getting it done in rounds 1 or 2. I feel like if it hits the third round, I feel like the fight might be kind of swaying in a even direction, or maybe even in Ferguson's direction. I feel like if Li Jingliang doesn't get Tony Ferguson out there in the first 2 rounds, I think we could be seeing a different type of fight, you know, than what we think. I don't think we'll be seeing a fight where Li Jingliang knocks him out. You know, I could be completely wrong, but I think the chances of Li Jingliang getting a TKO win in the third round or a decision win is pretty unlikely against Ferguson here. You know, unless what I said earlier, unless he drops Ferguson a few times and then gets the decision win. Could see that, but it's unlikely. So if you want some bang for your buck, Li Jingliang by TKO KO in rounds 1 or 2, I think that'll pay at about 3.20, but I could be wrong and it could be paying out at higher. I could easily say that paying out 3.50 maybe. But yeah, that's live. That's live. If you want a bit of bang for your buck and you want to take a bit of a risky bet and you don't like Ferguson, you just want to see him get knocked out, that's what I would take. Me personally, I hope Ferguson gets the W here. If he loses this, I feel like he should just retire. You know, that'll be his 5th loss in a row. And, I mean, if it does happen in bad fashion, like in rounds 1 or 2, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Tony Ferguson. I hope he gets this win. Hopefully it's a submission, you know. Hopefully he gets this to the ground and finds the neck and gets a submission. Doesn't get too hurt in this fight and gets the win. But I just can't help but feel Li Jingliang's just going to come out, power shot straight to Ferguson's chin, maybe in the first or second round, and just finish in this fight. Anyway, it should be a good one. I am looking forward to this card. I know a lot of people aren't, but it should be a good card. You know, we've got Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez in the feature bout. This fight in the co-main, and then the main event of Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz, the sacrifice as people are calling it. And you might be asking, where's the option in this video to bet on the whole fight? Well, I forgot to do the graphics, and on top of that, I don't really have a way you can bet on this whole fight. I either see Li Jingliang getting the finish early, or Tony Ferguson getting the finish late, or winning by decision. So it's kind of a hard one to bet on. You know, you could do over 1.5 rounds or over 2.5 rounds, but it's just risky, man. It's just risky because we don't know where Ferguson's chin is after getting knocked out by Chandler. So it's a risky one. So yeah, not doing any how to bet on this overall fight because it is too risky. It's risky business. It's risky business. Anyway, guys, be sure to check out my last upload, Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. And as always, have a good one.